Welcome to NarrativeNook where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Martha, I found nothing. Same here, came the echo. With a curt nod, Martha signaled them to tie up Arabella and Horace. They were in an unfinished high-rise, a skeleton of a building that rose 19 stories into the sky. Without any windows, the chill outside swept in, bringing with it the snowflakes that danced on the merciless wind. Horace couldn't help but sneeze. He and Arabella were hauled up to the 18th floor, each bound to a cold, unyielding chair. Horace squirmed, trying to find some semblance of comfort, but was promptly rewarded with a gun barrel pressed against his temple. "Don't move," a female killer hissed with icy precision. "Not even a twitch." Horace quipped, his eyes widening as the gun dug deeper, coercing a resigned nod from him. Fine, he'd stay put. What was the big deal anyway? Despite being tied up, Arabella exuded an aura of authority, as if she were the queen on a chessboard, moving pieces at her will. Martha stood at the edge of the 18th floor, holding Arabella's phone. On the phone's screensaver was a photo of Arabella and Romeo's silhouettes, a photo that Romeo had sweet-talked Arabella into using. At that moment, Martha, whether out of anger for Serena or a desire to prevent Arabella from communicating, suddenly changed her expression and fiercely threw the phone off the building. "Hey, that's my boss's phone." Horace heard the crash, imagining the device in pieces. Was this woman nuts? Why smash it when confiscating it would have sufficed? That phone was actually developed by Arabella and had a lot of features, along with several confidential items inside. The killer pressed the gun harder against Horace's head as if to silence him without words. Martha turned to see Arabella, once unattainably proud, and her loyal henchman Horace, now pathetically tied to chairs. Behind them stood hundreds of her guys. The two were completely at her mercy. The thought brought a vicious laugh to her lips. She had waited so long for this day. She thought about the 6 months of humiliation under Arabella's thumb, the way her darling daughter Serena had been tormented by this wretch. Today, she would have her revenge. Her eyes, gleaming with malice, bore into Arabella as she stepped closer. Horace couldn't fathom why this old bat kept breaking into these fits of laughter. Was she touched in the head? Martha grabbed Arabella's bun, spitting venomously, "With all your identities, your success out there, why come back for the Collins family heiress title? You could have lived well enough. But no, you chose to come back for your doom. Don't you touch my boss. Come at me if you dare." Horace bellowed. "You think you're worthy of touching her hair?" Martha turned to Horace with a mocking smile. "Oh, look at the loyal little pup. You, my dear, have quite a knack for winning hearts. In the Collins household, you swayed all the servants loyal to Serena. Impressive. Someone gag him." Muffled protests came from Horace. Even with his mouth gagged, he struggled fiercely, itching to take a swing at the old hag. Damn it, they could do whatever they wanted to him, but laying a finger on his boss? That was a line no one was allowed to cross. Arabella tilted her chin up at Horace with a look that said, "Relax, I've got this." To the casual observer, she seemed to be signaling Horace not to rile up Martha. But Horace, who had spent enough time with Arabella, instantly understood the meaning behind her gaze. He got the message loud and clear. Chuckling under his breath, he threw a defiant glare at the female killer, his posture slouched and rebellious, though noticeably less volatile than before. The little mutt sure knows how to obey. Martha sneered as she flicked Arabella's bun, pacing back and forth. What to do? I don't catch you every day, and now I find myself almost reluctant to see you dead." Arabella raised her clear eyes, her tone as calm as a gentle breeze. "I'm bound to die at your hands sooner or later, so why not let me die with some clarity? Is it because I've returned to this house, threatening your daughter's status, that you think I should die?" Suddenly, Martha's eyes flashed with a fierce glint, scrutinizing Arabella. "Are you recording this? Or is there a hidden camera on you? I've been feeling something's off since the start. With your defiant spirit, you wouldn't surrender so easily, and you've been fishing for my words. Search for her. And not just her. Search that loyal pup of hers thoroughly." With a cold snort, Arabella's lips curled into a mocking smile, So, I'm that formidable in your eyes, huh? Shut it. Martha snapped, flustered and infuriated. Two of Martha's guys took turns patting Arabella down. They tugged at her bun, finding nothing but lush hair, and the hair tie was just an ordinary one, adorned with a tiny diamond tiara. Her clothes were casual, pockets in her hoodie, and trousers were all checked. No suspicious items. Horace, too, was searched from head to toe repeatedly, and still, nothing out of the ordinary was found. Even his shoes were taken off, and the insoles flipped, revealing nothing hidden. Martha eyed Arabella suspiciously and asked, "What kind of game are you playing?" "I'm tied up, my phone's been smashed, and my only ally is in your capture. Surrounded by over a dozen of your armed men, so what tricks could I possibly play?" Hearing this, Martha's triumphant smirk returned, her earlier doubts subsiding, replaced by a vindictive grin. "If you had been this compliant from the get-go, you wouldn't be in this mess." Martha's venomous gaze fell upon Arabella, "But you just had to act all high and mighty." It was so irritating. When have I ever been high and mighty? Don't those words suit your daughter more? Arabella couldn't help but laugh. "For 18 years, your daughter basked in luxury under my name. When I came back, I didn't make a fuss. I let her stay and continue living in opulence. Shouldn't you be grateful?" "Grateful to you?" Martha scoffed as if she heard the most absurd thing, her laugh cold. "Had you been friendly and humble with Serena, I indeed would have spared you. But what did you do? You hurt her time and again." Arabella was confused. When had she ever hurt Serena? From the day she returned to the house, it was Serena who had been hurting her with backhanded comments like, "Sis, up so early? You don't have to change your habits on our account. Feel free to sleep in as you did at your place. You probably haven't been to many fancy occasions, huh? It's normal to get butterflies. I know Grandpa Philip's ways and temper very well. If you slip up or do something wrong, I'm right there to smooth things over. Come on, take me with you." Serena had a way with words, that much was certain. Aside from her gossiping, her actions often left others speechless. Take, for instance, the time when the family was enjoying afternoon tea together. Serena, thinking she had the inside track on her parents' tastes after all these years, made a show of it right in front of her. She'd pour Dad and Mom each a cup of tea. When it came grudgingly to serving Arabella, noticing she was wearing a white dress, Serena even considered scolding her. When Dad asked about which college she wanted to apply to, Serena jumped in with, "I'm aiming for Summerfield College," flaunting her academic prowess in front of Arabella. In front of everyone, Serena clung to Dad, Mom, and her brothers, acting all cutesy. To the outside, it seemed like the family orbited solely around Serena. 18 years old and still acting like a child. Then there was the time Serena knew Arabella wanted to go out, so Serena raced her for the driver, offering in a mock-generous tone, "If you're really in a hurry, I suppose you can take the car first." When Romeo came looking for Arabella and she hadn't yet gotten out of bed, Serena dolled herself up, slipped into something revealing, and made a show of bending over and placing a hand on Romeo's knee, the curves of her chest on full display as she confessed her feelings. After he turned her down, she had the gall to show up at his office, stalking him in secret. She even had Holly pretend to trip and spill water down her front, making sure she was soaked right in front of Romeo, hoping to stir something in him. When Romeo was at Arabella's beck and call, Serena had the nerve to tell him, "You can't always spoil your girlfriend." She even lied to her best friend, claiming that Arabella had stolen her fiancé. The list went on and on. From the day Arabella returned to the family, Serena had never intended to live in harmony with her. Later, after being scolded by Hans and Chaucel, Serena seemed to change a bit, but it wasn't long before she was led astray again by Martha. Arabella aired these grievances, her gaze landing on Martha. "And you, ever since I came back home, you've never shown me an ounce of respect." In front of Arabella's parents, Martha would play the angel, but in private, she wouldn't even acknowledge Arabella's presence. She'd encourage Serena to get closer to Romeo whenever Arabella wasn't around. It was Martha's conspiratorial glances that emboldened Serena to act so recklessly. "And then there was that night Mom called me down for soup, and you spiked it with something nasty." Martha bristled at the memory. "You ungrateful little wretch, I'd nearly forgotten." You had the nerve to make me eat it. I was sick all night. That's called getting a taste of your own medicine, Arabella retorted, looking straight into Martha's eyes fearless. Just like when you spilled oil all over the floor hoping I'd slip, and you and your daughter ended up taking the fall instead. Martha, reminded of these humiliations, grew even angrier. You're really asking for it. She snatched a leather whip from one of her men and lashed it across Arabella's back. Boss, Horace struggled frantically. Damn it, leave her alone. Come at me. Martha lashed out at Horace with a vicious crack of her whip. Think you're going to get away with this? Somebody grab him and beat him. Two burly men immediately grabbed Horace's chair, ready to drag him away. Let go of me, you sons of bitches. Touch my boss and I swear I'll haunt you to your graves. What's the point of going after Horace? Even if he ends up unrecognizable, it won't help you vent your anger. Come at me instead. Whatever you plan for him, I'll take it on his behalf. You're protective of your pup. Martha hadn't expected that even now, at this critical moment, Arabella wouldn't show a hint of fear. Clearly, she was toughened by life's rough and tumble. Her mental fortitude was just different. Now, what shall I do first? Ruin that pretty face of yours or chop off those talented hands? Martha pinched Arabella's chin and was taken aback to find her skin so smooth and soft. She remembered applying a facial mask to Serena, and even with all the pampering and care Serena had received from childhood, her skin couldn't hold a candle to Arabella's. Arabella's skin was like delicate, creamy porcelain, so flawless that it could inspire envy. If I slash it up, would Romeo still fancy you, you freak? Your hands, able to play the piano, to paint, to heal. What if I chop them off? Let's see you try anything then. And maybe I should cut off your feet too, leave you a cripple? Ha 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 ha. An idea suddenly struck Martha, and she pulled out her phone to send a video call request. It wasn't long before the person on the other end picked up. Serena, guess who this is? Martha held Arabella's face like a trophy. Serena was stunned. Martha, you've kidnapped her. It was Arabella. Martha had kidnapped Arabella. Serena quickly lowered her voice and made sure all doors and windows were shut. For good measure, she drew the curtains and found a corner to watch from, shocked yet somewhat thrilled. It was Arabella. Really Arabella. Martha had brought a whole crew to kidnap Arabella. But amidst her glee, Serena was worried. Martha, if our family finds out? Nobody will ever know. Once I scar her face, chop off her limbs, and throw her from the 18th floor. And then cut her piece by piece, grind it up, and pour it down the drain. The Collins family will never find her, ha 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 ha. Arabella noticed that she talked a lot, going on and on about things that were of no use. But what if? Serena feared being discovered. Not to mention the affection and importance the Collins family placed on Arabella, and the power of her brothers. If one day it came out, she and Martha would be doomed. No one knows she's here, and no one knows what she's going through. Serena, watch closely how I take revenge for you. With that, Martha viciously slapped Arabella. The sharp, crisp sound sent Serena's heart racing, and she couldn't help but cover her mouth to stifle any noise. Martha had slapped Arabella. She really slapped her. At that moment, Arabella was like a prisoner at the mercy of her captor, utterly powerless to resist. Arabella was kidnapped. Arabella couldn't break free now, could she? Was she really about to die? If she did, without a daughter, would the Collins family finally turn their affection back to her, their adopted girl? And the outside world was still in the dark about the Collins family having a biological daughter. They only knew of her, Serena, as the sole heiress. Arabella had come and gone like a gust of wind, but in the end, it was Serena who graced the public eye wearing the crown jewel title of the Collins family. Would that mean her engagement to Romeo could resume? The mere thought of everything returning to how it used to be sent a thrill of excitement through Serena. This was just too good. It felt like a dream. Today, I'll vent your anger for you. However she used to bully you in the past, I'll make her pay back tenfold, 100-fold. Martha spat out, delivering another fierce slap to Arabella's cheek. The sound resonated through the air. Let go of me, boss. At that moment, Horace was nearly losing his mind, his eyes blood-red with anger. Arabella had taken his share of the punishment, so he was spared from being dragged away. Watching her get hit was unbearable for Horace. He wanted to slaughter these brutes, to shield his boss behind his own body. Ha! Ha ha ha! Martha laughed triumphantly, looking at Serena to ask, "Feels good, doesn't it?" The corners of Serena's mouth twitched with uncontainable glee, but despite Arabella being slapped, her icy gaze remained clear, her expression devoid of fear or agony. She stood as cold and unyielding, looking at them as if they were fools. "When the blade crosses her face, I bet she'll beg for mercy. Ha ha ha." Martha signaled, and someone approached with a knife in hand. The sight of the blade gleaming with a sinister light made Serena involuntarily utter Martha. Were they really going to kill her? "Don't worry, Serena. I've done this sort of thing plenty of times before." Murderous intent flared in Martha's eyes as she closed in on Arabella. "Martha, we don't know if she's got cameras on her, or bugs," Serena cautioned. Arabella was notoriously cunning. This could all be one of her traps. What if the Collins family was already on their way to rescue her? If that were the case, the fate awaiting Serena and Martha would be far worse than death. "I had them searched, they're clean. Relax." Martha advanced step by step toward Arabella, the knife tapping against her cheek, smiling with a chilling ferocity. "Ready? I won't be in the mood for truth once the pain starts, so why not let me die knowing? Who are you really? Who are these people? What really happened in the fire that year?" Arabella lifted her gaze to ask. Martha's smile was chilling. "Do you really want to know?" Serena isn't surprised to see that you have so many underlings. That means she's known about you for a long time. Who are you exactly? What are you plotting within the Collins family? "Martha, don't tell her. If she doesn't die, it'll be trouble for us." Serena interjected in time. "You've got me tied up here, my phone's smashed, and I can't contact the outside world. I can't even save myself. With over 100 of your men here, do you think I can escape?" Arabella's cool gaze fell on Serena, leaving her speechless. Indeed, what was there to fear? Arabella was tied up and helpless. Martha wouldn't fail. "It doesn't matter if I tell you. Our organization is called." Martha elongated her words playfully, toying with Arabella's anticipation. It took a while before she finally said, "Doom." Martha was from Doom. "Since when?" Arabella asked, locking her gaze onto Martha's eyes. "Well, it's a long story. But right now, I'm not in the mood to chat. I'm more interested in carving up your pretty little face." Martha revealed a maniacal grin, as she discussed with Serena on the video call. "Serena, what do you think about etching slut on her left cheek and tramp on her right? Let her wear her shame for everyone to see, eh?" Serena, all too eager, quickly piped up with a suggestion, "Or maybe just bitch on one side and whore on the other." "Brilliant." Martha cackled, her voice sharp as the blade that hovered dangerously close to Arabella's face. "One last question," Arabella said, her eyes fearless. "The fire years ago. Did you plan it?" "Me?" Martha laughed, genuinely surprised. "Do you think I'm capable of burning down an entire clinic and keeping it a secret for so many years?" "Arabella, you're giving me too much credit. I don't have that kind of power. I just happen to be at the right place at the right time to seize the opportunity." In its heyday, Doom's influence spread far and wide, with a reach that was deep and tangled. On the surface, some of them were deli owners, street vendors, or office workers. But behind closed doors, they all pledged allegiance to Doom, doing its bidding. Martha, as an ordinary citizen, was just what Doom needed. Arabella wondered, could the fire have been Doom's doing, and Martha merely stumbled into joining them? Who then planned the fire? At the hospital, Steward burst into the room. "Sean, we've located Miss Bella. She's been kidnapped." "What did you say?" Sean yanked out the foil, disregarding whether blood was oozing from the needle prick on his hand, and asked angrily, "Who dared to touch her?" "It seems to be Doom's people. They're at Tower Bay." Seeing Sean stride out of the room, Steward hurried after him. Noting Sean's frail silhouette, still recovering, Steward couldn't help but say, "Sean. Shut it." Sean's voice was lethal as he stepped into the elevator. "Kidnap my sister? They're asking for war." At Tower Bay, 18th floor. Arabella lifted her eyes to Martha. "You joined Doom to have them protect you so that when the Collins family started digging into the fire, you'd have the power to move some pieces to obstruct and interfere." "Exactly," Martha said, looking at Arabella. "But then you had to come along for Carol, causing such trouble that Doom became a mess, just a shadow of its former self. But even a skinny camel is larger than a horse, and behind you are those who would die for Doom. You can't catch them all." During Doom's prime, Martha did reap some benefits, but nothing compared to the six-figure monthly salary she earned as a servant in the Collins household. With Doom, she could pull some strings and get her hands dirty. Like that time, long ago, when a servant who crossed Martha met a grisly end. That was the real perk of being with Doom. "So who's your boss? And who planned the fire? I'm about to die under your knife, at least let me die knowing." Martha laughed with a blend of glee and pity, her laughter slicing through the air like a sharp blade. "You can't touch him. Don't overestimate yourself. Even the entire Collins family combined is no match for my boss. Focus on yourself, because you're about to become a grotesque spectacle." The knife was poised to fall. Just then, a voice interrupted. "Martha." The swift-footed assassin approached with a troubled look on her face. She gestured for Martha to step aside for a private word. Martha didn't expect such a buzzkill, gripping her knife tightly as she walked away, her tone laced with impatience. "What's up?" "The Collins family has sent someone," Swift said, worry etched into her features. "Who?" Martha's eyes narrowed. "Sean." At the mention of his name, Martha relaxed. "Oh, him? No worries." The woman appeared confused, looking at Martha curiously. Sean's influence in Belloria was vast and powerful. They usually steered clear of him. Why was Martha suddenly unafraid? "Relax, I've done my homework." Martha had heard the juicy gossip that Sean and his sister Arabella were always at each other's throats. They'd brawl at the drop of a hat and engage in deadly drag races. Rumor had it Sean had sworn to strip Arabella of her skin if he ever caught her. Out of options, Arabella was forced into hiding. After all, Sean was a titan in Belloria. He hates her guts and probably wants to catch her and skin her himself. Martha mused, glancing in Arabella's direction with a smirk of satisfaction. That little wretch surely never expected one of her many brothers to despise her to such an extent. Martha relished the sight of sibling rivalry, affirming her belief that blood ties meant less than the relationships forged day by day. Perhaps Sean couldn't stand Arabella's smug, self-important look. In his heart, Serena must be the one who mattered most. But what if, Swift speculated, he's not here for Arabella, but to investigate the fire? Could he be after the Viper? After all, Sean had been relentlessly searching for Sam, who had been taken out by the Viper. If he's after the Viper, tell him Arabella killed him. And if he wants Arabella, have him wait. You can personally deliver her to him later. Martha's gaze returned to Arabella, clutching the knife as she stepped closer. "You've got quite the collection of enemies. I thought about handing you over to him, but I just can't bear the thought of you dying so easily." Martha saw the cell phone on the nearby table topple over and reached to set it right again, speaking into it, "Serena, watch closely. I'm about to carve a message into this wretch's face." "Hold on, Martha." Serena suddenly blurted out, a mix of excitement and vindication in her voice as she looked toward Arabella. "I want her to beg me." "What?" Martha didn't grasp her meaning. "Arabella, if you just admit that coming back home was a mistake, that you shouldn't have bullied me or paraded around like you owned the place, just get down on your knees and beg me, knock your forehead on the ground 10 times, and I might just get Martha to leave your pretty face alone." Of course, that was never going to happen. It was a bluff, a ploy to see Arabella submit and grovel. Arabella's gaze fixed on Serena on the screen, a playful smirk curling at the corner of her mouth. "I dare to beg, but do you dare to untie me?" Serena's heart clenched. No, they couldn't release her. With Arabella's skills, who knew what she might pull? "You want me to beg, but you don't even have the guts," Arabella said with an air of indifference. Go on, do it. You really think you're too tough to die? Martha's knife came down swiftly, but in the blink of an eye, Arabella and Horace exchanged a look and simultaneously broke free from their ropes. Arabella kicked squarely on Martha, while Horace quickly snatched a gun from the nearby killer, aiming it at Martha. They moved too fast for the henchman to react. Before they knew it, Martha was at gunpoint. Martha, sprawled on the ground, couldn't believe her eyes. She looked from Horace to Arabella and back again. "How did you?" she stammered. Hundreds of her men were behind them, yet none had noticed Arabella and Horace slipping their ropes. Horace pressed the top button of his shirt, and Martha's earlier words played back for all to hear. "Surprised? This is one of my boss's minicams with a built-in bug." Martha's face went pale. She had suspected Arabella of a trap, but she never imagined it would be hidden in a tiny button. How could this little wretch know how to turn a minicam with a bug into a mere button? Horace crouched down, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "My boss has tamed wild beasts, dodged bullets, and fought her way out of encirclements. Who the hell do you think you are, trying to catch her? If she hadn't wanted to trap you, she would have wiped you out already." The gun was still aimed at Martha's temple, and Serena, on the other end of the video, gasped, covering her mouth in disbelief at the turnaround. Arabella had an ace up her sleeve. She really did. What were they going to do now? If they fell into the hands of the Collins family, neither she nor Martha would see another sunrise. "My boss's face isn't something you can just slap around." Horace held the gun on Martha while slapping her hard across the face. Martha, lying on the ground, wanted to fight back, but Horace warned, "Go ahead, make a move, and I'll end you." The room was full of people too terrified to stir. "Daring to hit my boss, you wretched woman." After a dozen slaps that seemed to do little to calm his rage, Horace stood up and stomped on Martha. "Stop hitting her." Serena, still shaken, cried out, pleading, "She didn't hurt Arabella." "Shut your mouth," Horace shot her a menacing look. I've got my eye on you. Just you wait." But first, Martha had to be dealt with. Sean stood arrogantly on the ground floor of the unfinished building, his presence giving no hint that he had just undergone surgery. Behind him, Stewart exuded an aura just as imposing, impossible to ignore. As the assassin descended the stairs, she saw 2 sports cars blocking the entrance, and before her stood the infamous Sean, as if he owned the world itself. Seeing Sean in the flesh, she felt a twinge of fear, but managed to plaster on a calm, collected smile. "Sean, I've long heard of you. May I ask what brings you to my modest home at this late hour?" "Your place is a dump, huh?" Sean's gaze was less than pleased. Did she dare to drag his precious sister to this hellhole? Was she looking for trouble? "Just hand her over," Sean said curtly with no interest in wasting words. But Rain, still playing dumb, asked, "I'm not sure who you're referring to, Sean." "Don't play coy with me." Sean started, but before he could finish, Stewart pressed a knife swiftly against Rain's throat. Sean looked at her coldly. "Do I look like I've got nothing better to do than to watch your little act?" Rain was a bit terrified. She couldn't believe how fast Stewart had moved. She hadn't even seen where the knife had come from. "Do you want that girl?" Sean replied with nonchalant ease, "Bring her down." She wasn't easy to catch, and you think you can just walk out with her without lifting a finger. Rain's attempt to negotiate sparked Sean's temper. "Who the hell are you to bargain with me? I could let my man here lift a finger to send you straight to hell first. Why do you need her so badly?" Rain persisted, teeth clenched. "Is it your place to ask?" Sean had no time for this. He lit a cigarette and exhaled slowly. "You've got 10 seconds to bring her out, or I'll blow this junkyard sky high." Rain knew they had not finished tormenting Arabella. She couldn't give her up so easily. So she feigned composure, laughing, "Cool down, Sean. Go back and I'll personally deliver her corpse to your doorstep." Corpse? Sean's eyes were icy, the cigarette dropping to the ground. "Yes, she offended us, so we killed her. The body's a bit messy though. Give us some time to piece her back together, then I'll bring it to you, Sean. I wouldn't want to frighten you." Sean laughed bitterly at her claim. "So the body's fallen apart, huh?" Mutilated and dismembered, tossed from the 18th floor, Rain said, mistaking his laughter for satisfaction. So, is there not a chance that she's alive? Of course not. From that height, even a robot would break apart, let alone her. We already chopped off her limbs, and her guts spilled out. That's why we need some time before we deliver her to you. Sean nodded, then suddenly grabbed her collar, his voice menacing. She's my own sister, whom I haven't even had the chance to spoil, and you dared lay a finger on her? Rain was baffled. What did he mean, his own sister? That woman was Sean's sister? Martha hadn't mentioned this. Are you out of your damn mind? Sean threw her aside, and Steward's blade made a clean cut across her face. Blood gushed. Ah! Rain trembled in pain, reaching for her face, but Steward slashed again. Everyone present was shocked, unsure of what was happening. But since Rain wasn't dead yet, they dared not move, fearing she'd suffer even more. Did you think you were worthy of ruining Miss Bella's face? Steward twisted her limbs with brutal efficiency, then drew his knife across her throat in one swift motion. The tension was palpable as all eyes and weapons turned towards Sean and Steward, vengeful rage seething on behalf of Rain. The building, an unfinished concrete skeleton without doors or windows, provided the perfect ambush point. Sean's crew, hidden outside, sprang to life, their gunfire tearing through the silence. One by one, the villains dropped like flies, smoke filling the air. Standing amidst the chaos, Sean exuded an aura of icy grief. His sister. That quirky little girl who meant the world to him gone because of these monsters. Sean, there's more noise upstairs, probably their accomplices. I'll take some men and handle it. You head to the car. The explosives are set. Once we're out, this place will blow. No one gets a free pass today. Sean's voice was laced with a bloodthirsty resolve. Whatever they did to my sister, I want them to pay back 100-fold, 1,000-fold. Understood. Steward had never seen Sean like this before. Always cocky and arrogant, Sean was now enveloped in sorrow and rage. I'm going to find her. Even if she was dead, disfigured, limbs severed, he would gather every piece of her and bring her home. On the 18th floor, Martha's men exchanged glances, plotting to shoot Arabella in the chaos. But Arabella was no ordinary woman. Sensing the danger, she kicked a chair towards them with lightning speed. The bullets only shattered the chair mid-air, and before the pieces hit the ground, Arabella had already sent another chair flying towards them, knocking several heads with a thud. In a swift motion, she kicked again, seizing their guns and gaining the upper hand. The room erupted in chaos, the sounds of gunshots, breaking objects, and thugs collapsing filled the air. Serena couldn't see clearly from where she was hiding, her view obstructed, leaving her only with the sight of Horace pummeling Martha. Stop. That's enough. She murmured anxiously, not daring to raise her voice. Even after days confined at home, she feared the walls had ears, that servants might overhear her. Seizing a moment, Martha threw a handful of powder at Horace, who quickly shielded his face and staggered back. Martha pulled a gun from beneath a fallen wooden table and fired several shots in Horace's direction. Horace moved extremely fast, dodging the bullets with ease. Wiping blood from her lip, Martha aimed the gun at Horace and questioned, "How did you get free?" The knots binding them were Doom's signature, impossible to escape without a blade. Horace smirked, revealing a hidden razor blade sewn into the hem of his shirt. Not that it matters now, but we've got blades sewn into our clothes. With a thread, we were free. Not just him, but Arabella had several blades hidden too. Whether their hands were bound in front or behind, they could effortlessly access the blades and slice through the ropes. Arabella had come up with this trick years ago. The stitching was inconspicuous, undetectable without close inspection, especially in the thick fabric of winter clothing. And it wasn't just blades. The button on his cuff hid a life-saving pill crafted by Arabella. To an onlooker, it seemed he'd simply rolled his sleeve for comfort, but only he knew its true potential, a secret weapon that could turn the tide when it mattered most.
For listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.